Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I will be showing you how to make kombucha from your house. So the first thing that I want to do is just show you the ingredients that you will need, and then I'll show you the process. So the first thing that you will need is some tea, actually a glass jug. So you can do this in glass jars, you can do this really in any kind of glass container. Just choose your size and just make sure it is glass and that you can kind of seal it. I always make a big batch because we go through it really quick around here. So I don't know how big this is, but I am making about a gallon. So I'm not sure exactly like the size of this container, but it's a big glass jar. But the first thing that you will need are some tea bags. So you can use any kind of tea you want, but for a gallon you want about 12 tea bags. So if you're doing half a gallon, then go for 6. But yeah, so you want some tea bags. You can, like I said, choose any tea you want. I have a combination of black tea, like English breakfast tea, which is a black tea, and green tea. So if you use black tea, your kombucha will be a little bit stronger, more kombucha flavor, if that makes sense. If you were to not use a black tea and just use something like a green tea or a peppermint tea, it would be much milder. So just keep that in mind. Usually kombucha is made with some sort of black tea and then you flavor it later on. So like I said, for me, I just got a green and black tea and I got 12 tea bags. The next thing that you will need is for 1 gallon, you will need 1.5 cups of just plain white sugar. I know it is, this is organic cane sugar. It is still refined, but you know, the Scoby, I should say, when you put the sugar in, that's what it feeds off of. So your end product will not actually have that much sugar in it. This is just to feed the Scoby. The next thing you will need is hot water, which is actually boiling on the stove, hence the sound that's you're probably hearing in this video. So I have a pot of water that's boiling, and I will add that to this in a minute. So you will need some hot water, then you'll need some just regular filtered water that is not chlorinated, a gallon's worth. And then the last thing that you will need is a Scoby. This is mine. And you will need a Scoby, and then 2 cups of, for a gallon, you'll need about 2 cups of the Scoby, of like the liquid from the previous batch of kombucha, so the liquid that the Scoby's in. If you do not have a Scoby, where do you get one from? I'm pretty sure you can order them online. There's also health food stores around that you might be able to find one at. I know there is a health food store near me, and they do sell them in the refrigerated section. So you can ask them, you can Google it online. If you can't find a Scoby, you will have to make your own. There is a lot of videos on YouTube that show you how to start from scratch if you have no Scoby. I might make one in the future. I don't have one on my channel yet, but there are definitely some loads of videos that can show you how to start. So this recipe is for if you already have a Scoby, and you can really get it from anywhere. I do want to say before I show you the process, if this is beneficial to you, if you don't have a Scoby, what my husband did is he went to the grocery store, bought a bottle of kombucha, and made sure he found one that had a lot of the like Scoby and stuff floating around in it. He took that Scoby, it was only about this big, he started off in a jar. So he took a little Scoby and started off making a jar this big of kombucha, and his Scoby grew really quick, and then he used a Scoby that he had grown plus that little jar of kombucha, added it to this gallon, made our first batch with that Scoby, and then the Scoby grew from there, and that's kind of how we kept it going. So you really can go to the store, buy kombucha, and see if there's like a Scoby floating at the top, which there usually is, and then do it that way as well. Okay, so I will show you the process, and the first thing that you want to do is add your tea bags, which I already have done, to the glass jar, and add your sugar. So you're gonna just pour it all in together, and the next thing you're gonna do is grab your pot of boiling water. I have a full pot because, again, I have a gallon, so I will just pour the boiling water into this to kind of steep the tea and dissolve the sugar. So here's the water, and I'm just gonna pour it over. Yeah! All right, so as you can see, the water's already darkening. So I'm gonna grab a wooden spoon, and you just wanna give it a really good stir to make sure that the sugar is fully dissolved. Got my spoon. I'm gonna just give it a good stir. And now let this steep for about 20 minutes. You want it to be nice and strong. So I'm gonna go and I'll come back and finish this video with you guys once it has steeped for 20 minutes. And that'll kind of allow the mixture to cool down as well. You don't want to add your Scoby to a hot mixture because obviously, you know, you can kill it. So just let it cool down. Then you're gonna add some room temperature water and fill it up, you know, the rest of the way. Well, not the rest of the way, but a gallon's worth. And then you can add your Scoby because that will kind of bring down the temperature of the water. So yeah, let this sit for 20 minutes. It's super easy. Go and paint your nails or do something while you're waiting. And then we'll come back and finish this up. All right, so it was 20 minutes. The tea was fully steeped, so I took the tea bags out. As you can see, here's the tea bags. I took them out, and then I filled it up mostly with water. So I had to save a little bit of room because I will be dumping all the juice plus the Scoby in here. So I just touched it with my finger, and it's a good temperature. It's not too hot, so I can put the Scoby in no problem. And I just want to say one more thing before I go ahead and just dump the Scoby in, just to clarify. If you do not have a Scoby, either buy it online or from a health food store, or you can make your own. So there's a way to make your own Scoby, and there's lots of videos online. But if you don't want to do that, what you can do is start by making a very small batch. So get one jar and fill it up with some tea bags and some sugar, just a small batch of this, and then go to your store, buy a bottle of kombucha, take the little bit of floaty, like slippery Scoby on the top of that kombucha. Some companies strain their kombucha before bottling it, so those ones, like Rise, I believe, so those ones will not have a Scoby, but find one that you see the floaty stuff in it. Take that Scoby off and put it in this little jar, close it, seal it, and let it do its thing for a week, and you'll notice a Scoby growing. Once you have a decent sized Scoby, you can then go and make a big jar, a full size. So I'm making a gallon because my Scoby's huge. It's an old one, not old in like age, but it's big now. We've made a couple batches, so it's grown. So I'm gonna put this here and just give you guys a good look at what this looks like. Okay, I'm gonna move this. You won't be able to see it as much. I'm gonna move it out of the frame just a little bit. And the first thing I'm gonna do is just dump the juice in here. The reason why you're adding, you want to have leftover, so let's say you were making this and then you were to bottle it up, you would always save a little bit of juice from the batch for your next batch. You need some acidity because you want to, it makes a good environment for the Scoby to grow. If you do not have the kombucha, if you don't have the kombucha from your older batch, you can just use white distilled vinegar, I believe, instead. So there's tons of stuff online that will show you how to do that. All right, so that's in there. So I'm gonna show you guys what the Scoby looks like. It does not look pretty. We have 2 Scobies in here. Oh, and actually they did attach. We had a couple batches worth. So this is what it looks like. This little bit down here is from my last batch that I just made, but it's just dripping, so just give me a sec. All right, this is what it looks like. I know it does not look super appetizing, but it'll make an awesome kombucha. So that will sink to the bottom usually. What you're gonna do is grab a towel, put it over, or some like filter paper or something, put it over the jug, put a lid on top, and you're gonna let it sit in a decently warm place, like on your counter, for 1 week, and you don't touch it or anything like that. For 7 days, you're gonna let it ferment and do its thing, and then at the 7th day or a week later, you can taste it. If it's acidic enough for you or whatever, you can stop and start bottling, flavor it and then bottle it. If it's not enough, if it's too sweet still, you can just let it sit on your counter for longer and just let it ferment a little more. So you can just taste it, and you're your own boss. You get to do like bottle up when you like the flavor of it. So like I said, once your Scoby's in there, just cover it up, and then we can put it on the counter. What's gonna happen is a new Scoby's gonna form right here on the top. It's gonna form and kind of seal everything in. It's gonna go right around the jug and just kind of seal all the kombucha in there. So that is, if this was your first batch you've ever made, that Scoby on the top, you would bottle it up, put it in a jar with about 2 cups of the leftover juice for your next batch of kombucha. So yeah, I'm gonna just cover it up, and then I'll put it on the counter, and then we're basically done. Hey guys, okay, it has been just over a week and that I've been letting the kombucha brew. So now it is time to bottle it up, flavor it, and then carbonate it if you like. If not, then you can just store it in the fridge. So the first thing you want to do is get the bottles that you will be using, or the jars. If you are to use a bottle, there's lots of good ones on Amazon. I can link some in the description below if I remember. And it's basically, you just want anything with a sealed cap and you want the bottle to be glass. I'm actually just using mason jars. I think that's the easiest for me. And you want to flavor it with whatever you want. So actually, before I show you what I have, you really could use anything. You could use 100% pure, say blueberry juice or cranberry, pomegranate, cherry, grape, any kind of flavors you'd like. And it can be a juice that is absolutely fine. You could just fill it up as much of the way with juice as you like, and then the rest with kombucha, depending on how sweet you like it. I don't really like to give my family any excess sugar. We like to keep our sugar intake on the lower end. So for us, I just put actual flavorings into each jar. For example, in this jar, I have some ginger pieces, just fresh ginger. This is ginger as well. This one is just some lavender. I'll see if I can show you. This is dried lavender from our garden. You can see this there. So this one has lavender. This one has just fresh rhubarb from our garden as well. And then this flavor here is actually spirulina and chlorella powder with some peppermints. This is like a green peppermint kind of flavor. Sorry, really refreshing, really delicious. Just pick up that lid here. Okay, so the first thing that you want to do is grab a mason jar. You're going to reserve the Scoby. If you can see right here, that's your Scoby. So you're going to want to reserve that in a jar with about 2 cups of the kombucha, so you can use it as a starter for your next batch. That's the first thing we're going to do. Just moving the towel and the lid off to the side for now. And I'll show you what the Scoby looks like. So let's see if I can actually get this even a little bit closer without actually spilling it. It's very full, so I don't want to dump it. So I have here, this is the new Scoby that formed. If you can see this coming out, there's a new Scoby that formed, and it kind of attached itself to the old one. So I'm just putting it into a jar here, if you can see. I know it doesn't look the prettiest. It does look a little bit gross, but it is really good for you. All right, so here is the old one. The new one's obviously much smaller, so I'm keeping the new one. I'll probably discard the old one, just so it's always good to keep a fresh one. You don't have to, though. Now, the easiest way to do this is to actually put a funnel into the mouth of the jars. I don't have a funnel, so I'm going to be pouring the kombucha into my like a glass pitcher, but just because it has a spout, and then I'll transfer that into the jars. So another thing you could do, if you don't like having any of like the Scoby floating around, you could definitely strain it. I'm too lazy, to be honest, so I'm not going to do that. Now that this is full, I'm going to transfer it. So I'll start with the ginger one, and you're just going to pour it. I don't like to go all the way to the top because I do like it to get carbonated, so you want to leave a little bit of a space in there. Just like that. And then I will put a lid on it. You seal it off, and if you would like it to get nice and carbonated, you leave it on the counter for a couple days, maybe 2 days, depending on how much carbonation you like. And then you can go ahead and drink it. If you don't want it carbonated, that's totally cool, and you can just drink it right now straight out of this. Put it in the fridge. I think it tastes better cold, and that way it slows down the fermentation process so it doesn't get too acidic and sour on you. So once you're ready to drink it, store it in the fridge. Another thing you could do is, if you want the carbonation but you don't want to wait, you could add some kind of like sparkling water to it. I'm not a fan of doing that, but you definitely could if you do want that carbonation. So the next one here is the lavender flavor. All right, guys, so I finished bottling up everything. I actually had double this amount, so I had to get double the jars, but I did all the same flavoring that I showed you, and I kept some of the Scoby with the juice for the next batch. You need to keep some of the kombucha that you just made for the next batch. This is what's left over of the Scoby. I'm actually going to throw that out. We've had this for a couple of years, so I think it's time. It's so big now too. So we're going to throw that one out, but we have a new fresh one that formed that I kept, and I'm going to leave these on the counter. I'd like to leave them for about 3 days. I think that gives it the perfect amount of carbonation, plus like the, you know, flavorings, like all the flavorings come through enough within that time. But I just drank some right now and it tastes delicious. You definitely could just drink it right now. You don't have to wait any longer. And if you want it flavored, you can just add some juice or something if that's what you want. So yeah, leave these on the counter, and then once I like them, I will put them in the fridge, and they can stay good in your fridge for I think like 6 months or something. So that's why we make a big batch. It really doesn't last long around here as a family of 5. But yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed this video and this tutorial. I hope it explained everything. If you still have any questions, comment below and let me know, and I will be happy to get to them. And like I said in the very beginning of this video, if you do not have a Scoby but you want to make kombucha, you can either order it online, you can either buy it at a health food store, certain health food stores, or you can just go buy a kombucha, like say this one. This is the brand GTS kombucha. They always have Scobies floating around in there. So this is how we got ours originally, was by buying this brand. We took the Scoby that was floating in there. It was literally like the size of like a nickel or a dime. It was tiny, but we made a little tiny batch in a jar of kombucha originally with the little Scoby, and it formed and it grew into this massive one. And I just want to show you. I broke it up. And I kept half of it in the other jar and all that, and it's that big. So just to give you an idea of how quick it grows. So you can really just start off with a little small piece. So this is my tutorial. Like I said, I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch it. I love you all, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!